Hello, my name is Abby with Tuxedo Bird Creations. Thank you for joining me today and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to do the crocodile stitch. Before we begin, if you like my tutorials, please subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to be notified of new patterns and stitch tutorials on my website, feel free to subscribe to my newsletter at tuxedobirdcreations.com, where you can find links to all of my patterns as well as my stitch library that is growing weekly with a new stitch added every Tuesday on Stitch Tutorial Tuesday. So today we have the crocodile pattern. I think it's also called the dragon stitch as well. And to show you how this stitch can be used, I have a bag here that I made. So to get started, we will just need to chain multiples of 6 plus 4. So for this tutorial, I will be doing 34, so that's multiples of 6, 30, plus 4 stitches at the end. So go ahead and chain as many as you would like and meet me back once you are done. I have my 34 chains here, so now we can begin with the first row. And what you're going to want to do is skip the first 3 chains on from your hook. So the loop on your hook does not count as a chain. So we have 1, 2, 3. We're going to double crochet into that 4th chain from the hook. And those 3 chains are going to count as a double crochet. So right now you have 2 double crochets right next to each other. And we're going to chain 2. And then we skip 2 chains and we're going to double crochet 2 times into that next chain. So just to show you again, skip those 2 chains, and then you can double crochet right into that next one. Oops. And you're going to do that again in the same chain, so you have 2 double crochets in that same chain space. And then chain 2. And you're going to do this for the length of your chain, so you're skipping 2 and putting 2 double crochets into the next chain. And chaining 2. So go ahead and do this for the length of your chain, and I will meet you back at the end. Okay, so we're at the end of our row, and it should look like this so far. And in this very last chain here, we're going to double crochet 2 times. So we're skipping those 2 and then just putting 2 double crochets into that last chain. And now this is where it gets a little tricky with this stitch. And I promise once you get the hang of it, it will be super easy and it'll work up super quickly. But it is a little tricky just because you're holding your yarn a different way than you normally would. But it is a beautiful stitch. It's very versatile in a bunch of different things. You can make wallets out of it, bags. A skirt would look pretty with it. There's a bunch of things that you can do with this stitch. Okay, so from here, after we put our 2 double crochets into the last chain here, we're going to chain 3, and this chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet. So normally you would turn your work, but we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to turn it vertical like this. And we're going to put 4 more double crochets into the last double crochet that you have here. So this counts as a double crochet, so we're going to have a total of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you have 5 double crochets in a row here. And then you're going to chain 1. And you're going to turn it the other way, but still keeping it vertical. So turning it this way. And then you're going to do the same thing, double crochet 5 times in the double crochet that's in the set. So these are sets of double crochets. So you're going to double crochet again, but you're going to be turning it this way. An easy way to do it is to fold it down so you can see the stitch right there. It makes it a little easier to see. And then you just go under the stitch and double crochet 5 times around that, the second part of that set of stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then chain 1. So now you see you have your first crocodile scale there. So we're holding it like this. What we're going to do is we're going to turn it back this way. And because you'll see that this flap hangs over this set of double crochets, we're going to skip that one and move on to the next one. So you see underneath this little flap here, you have one. So you're going to skip on over to this one, and you're going to do the same thing. You're holding it vertical, and you're going to double crochet 5 times around this double crochet right here. And then chain 1, turn your work the other way, and 5 double crochets around the other half of that double crochet set. Oops. Oops. And then chain 1. And now we have 2 scales. So we're going to turn our work back, skip this next set, and move on to this one, and 5 double crochets around this one. And then you're going to chain 1. That's going to make the point of the scale. Turn, so you're still vertical, but you're pinching it down so you can see that stitch clearly, and put 5 double crochets around the post of that stitch. And chain 1. And you're going to continue this to the end until you have one last on this last set of double crochets. So go ahead and pause the video and meet me back at the end. Our first row of crocodile stitches is complete, and this is what your work should look like. So from here we're going to start row 3, and what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3, and that will count as a double crochet, and then you double crochet right in the eye of this scale here, and that will count as a set of double crochets. So you just chain 2, and then for this part you'll see that there's no connect here between the double crochet sets that we made in row 2, or row 1, I'm sorry, and then row 2. So we have to make sure that we're double crocheting around both of these rows here to connect them. So you're just going to put 2 double crochets around both of those, and that will anchor it down. And then you can chain 2, and then in the eye again, 2 double crochets and chain 2, and then again just around both of these to connect them. So you're gonna go underneath here and in between the set of double crochets that we did not use. So you go in between those 2, and then that will connect the 2 rows. Oops. and chain 2, and then again through the eye, chain 2, and then again we're going to go through those 2 double crochets to connect the 2 rows. Oops. So go ahead and continue that for the rest of your row, and I'll meet you at the end. We are at the end of row 3, and you will see that we have the completed first row of the scales, and we are going to start making our second row of the scales, which will be row 4. So from here, what you do is chain 3, and that's going to count as a double crochet. And because we want our scales to alternate on the rows so that they're not right on top of each other, we're not going to start in this first set. We're going to skip down to the one in between the scales here. So just do 4 more double crochets into that first double crochet in that second set. So you have a total of 4 double crochets, and then chain 1, and we're going to turn, pinch, and 5 double crochets right into that second double crochet in that second set. And then chain and turn back, and you'll see that you are now making your second row of scales, and they're in between there, so they're alternating. This one is in between these 2 down here, so it'll make a really nice pattern. So turning back, we're going to skip this one again and go into the set that is in between the scales below, and that is 5 double crochets again into this one. So it's kind of like the first row that we completed, except you're skipping that first set of double crochets in the beginning, moving on to the second one, so you get that staggered look. Chaining 1, turning back, and just continue to do this for row 4, second row of scales, and meet me back at the end, and I'll show you what to do to connect that. So we're at the end here, and we're going to complete our last scale of the row, and you'll see that we still have this one here at the end. So we're going to complete the last scale in the second to last set of double crochets. So go ahead and just do the 5 double crochets, chain 5 double crochets. So you have your second row of scales in row 4. You'll see that they're alternating, they're staggered, so you can see all of the scales nicely. So at the end of this scale, I chained 1, and you'll notice that you have this last set of double crochets here. So to end the row, because we would skip this normally, but it's the end of the row, we're just going to slip stitch into that first or I should say the last double crochet here. And then from here you would chain 3, and then you would double crochet right back into that double crochet that you slip stitched in to make your first set of double crochets. And then you would chain 2 and then put 2 double crochets in the eye of that scale, and then chain 2 and then double crochet in between, because these need to be connected. So underneath this one and in between those 2 double crochets underneath it, and that will join those 2 rows together. Chain 2, and again underneath and then in between. And you just keep going down the line to create that base for the next set of crocodile scales. Okay, so we have one more set going into the eye of this last scale. Whoops. Chain 2, and then you will see that you have this one as well that you need to put 2 double crochets into, and that will allow you to keep that nice even number of scales every other row. So you're just going to put 2 more into that last one there. And then from here you just start back with row 2, doing the scale starting with this set, building a scale there, skipping this one, building a scale, and so on and so on. And then you would do this row again, and that's basically it. It's not as intimidating as it looks. It looks like a very intricate stitch that would be very complicated, but once you get the hang of how to turn your stitches so that you can do those scales, it's very easy, and it actually works out fairly quickly. Thank you for joining me today for this tutorial. And again, if you like my videos and want to stay updated, subscribe to my channel or subscribe to my newsletter at tuxedobirdcreations.com. Happy crocheting!